How's it going, everyone? Blades of God here from Hammer Bros Gaming, coming at you with our newest Gears 5 Master Escape video. Today we are going to be running the Ambush. With me I have Mr. Beardsley and Pyrociterwatz, and for the classes we're going to be running today, I'm going to be running marksman, so that's the perspective you're going to be seeing. Mr. Beardsley is going to be running Blade Master, and Pyrociterwatz is actually going to be running Infiltrator. The reason we're running these classes is because the map is set up in such a way where you're going to have both long range and short range encounters. So you're going to want someone who can handle long range battles and short range battles, as well as a melee class to handle a bunch of juvies. Speaking of juvies, let's look at our modifiers for this map. We have incendiary juvies, reflective shell scions, ghost pouncers, ultra stopping power, more health, more lethal, and Iron Man. So the big thing to note about this map is that the juvies are going to explode into a pool of fire, just like an incendiary grenade going off, and it will hurt a lot if you're too close when they detonate. So whenever they die, they're going to explode sort of like a popper, but like I said, it's going to be like an incendiary grenade instead of an explosive grenade. We also have reflective shell scions. So when the scions get to a certain amount of, take a certain amount of damage, I think it's about halfway through their health bar, they're going to have a reflective shell, much like the gunner class has a reflective shell, and it will bounce every last bit of damage back at you. That includes bleed damage. So you're going to have to be very, very conscious of exactly how much damage you're doing to these scions before they get to their reflective shell point, because if they're bleeding and they activate the shell, it will reflect that damage back at whoever is causing the bleed damage. Other than that, ghost pouncers, not a big deal, it just means pouncers are invisible, and then ultra stopping power means that if you get hit by a bullet, you pretty much slow way down to, I think it's about 30% regular movement speed. So to get into this map, here we go. We're going to come straight out of that safe room. As you can see, this is a very, very tight, close quarters map, and what we're going to want to do is, our first priority is to get Pyro a shotgun. He's running Infiltrator, he's set up to do a lot of bleed damage. You see Beardsley hitting that triple melee execution on that grenadier. If you don't know about the triple melee execution, if you're using controller, B is your melee button, so it's B, B, and then press and hold B. And what that'll do is it'll melee a second time and stun the enemy, and then it'll execute the enemy. So very important to know, very important to practice and get good at on Master Escape, because it is useful in just about every single map. But once Pyro gets a Nasher, he's going to fall back because there was an ammo box. He's going to grab some ammo. I'm looking for anything for a marksman weapon. I'm using my Boltok right now because it is considered a precision weapon, and I have that explosive headshot on critical headshot kills, as you can see right there. And he just dropped a Marksa, so I'm going to grab some Marksa ammo. And the big thing is, the reason this map is called the Ambush, the big gimmick about it is that you're going to actually have juvies coming up from behind us. And unfortunately, Beardsley got killed. I was not aware of it at this point because we were just having a conversation about something else. But Beardsley ended up getting killed, so our rear guard got taken out by juvies, actually. And what happened was he was too close. He ended up getting hit by the explosion and died in the fire. So the idea with the Blade Master class is that he would stay behind us, since the juvies spawn behind us as we advance, and make sure that we don't get snuck up on by juvies, while Pyro and I take care of both the close and long range threats moving forward. So unfortunately, we had to make a small adjustment on the fly. Pyro decided he was going to sort of handle the juvies, since he can tank the explosion with his stim, and I would handle a lot of the upfront threats. Unfortunately, I end up getting downed as well up ahead here. But this strategy will work. It was just a bad bit of gameplay on our part. The strategy is solid. We just did not follow through. We did not execute this properly. But as you can see, we're in this ammo room here, loading up on ammo. There is a Retro Lancer in here along with some ammo boxes, so grab that if you want. It doesn't really help me all that much, but I am grabbing ammo pouches for the Marksa. Pyro has his shotgun, so the Infiltrator has a shotgun. That's all he really cares about right now. And you can see I'm running Nasher and Hammer Burst at the moment, but I'm actually going to grab that boom shot. And again, this map is difficult, but it's not overly challenging, and I can't hit a headshot here to save my life for whatever reason. But you're just going to advance slowly, take this room by room, These enemies do try to surround you. Right there, you can see Pyro had a hunter behind him that he was not aware of, but thankfully he was able to get a shot off before he got downed. And just, yeah, cover each other, cover the corners. Pyro's taking care of stuff up close. I'm trying to help with some distance support, and that's really the tactic that's going to carry you all the way through this map. As I said, ideally you would have a Blade Master, or you could probably run Protector or Brawler to kind of sit behind you a little bit and make sure you don't get snuck up on by those juvies. And then you can have the other two teammates focus solely on the front of the advancing part of the map. But anyway, as you kind of fight through, you're going to come to this area with stairs. You can go down those stairs. There's actually 2 ammo rooms down there, and I recommend that you do go down that way, as the ammo rooms are going to give you not only more ammo, but it will give you a hard point to sort of hold and make sure that you can, stop yourself from getting surrounded. You can see I'm trying to use the X-ray here to get some headshots, and didn't work really well. I was very worried about how much ammo I had, so I wasn't being overly liberal with my use of Marksa. I do decide to use some boom here just to try to thin out the numbers a little bit. Pyro's getting up, kind of, you can see on the minimap, he's pushing up just a little bit, just enough to sort of mix it up and draw a little bit of aggro off of me. And again, this is the exact strategy you would want to use. Normally you would have a melee class like the Brawler or the Blade Master behind you, protecting you from any juvies that come up, and then the Infiltrator and the Marksman are going to kind of take care of all the front threats. The big thing to also keep in mind is that if you didn't want to run Marksman, you could get away with running something like your you could run a Nomad class, just something that's going to give you some good long range damage. So as you can see there, that's one of the dangers of those juvies. You saw it happen to me. I got downed by the juvies. Pyro tried to clean him up, but the explosion actually killed me. So Pyro is on his own right now. He is soloing the rest of this map, or the rest of this first act of the map, by himself. He is going to run down here to the bottom of this kind of stairwell area. And as I said, there's 2 safe ammo rooms. And you do need to be aware that when you activate these ammo rooms, you're actually going to spawn in some more juvies. So, like Pyro just did, he closed the door behind him so he could take a second, gather his bearings, figure out what his next step was, gather up some ammo, check for weapons. Ideally, you would have 2 teammates with you, and your marksman would be able to get himself a long shot right there. But Pyro is thinking ahead. He knows that he's confident he's going to make it to the safe room and get me respawned. So he's grabbing a long shot for me and loading it up with ammo. He'll drop it in the safe room, so I'll have a long shot to work with, and you will carry on in the second half of the map. But for now, if you find yourself in this situation where you have your tanky character like your Infiltrator who's left, don't be afraid to sort of sit down here and clean up some of the enemies as they come down to you. You've got 2 ammo rooms. There is a lot of ammo here, so don't be afraid to be a little more liberal with your usage of ammo. You see that Pyro opened up that other safe room, and it did spawn in a couple more juvies, but not a big deal. That shotgun bleed damage is awesome for taking out taking out all enemies, but especially the juvies. So he's pretty well filled up on his Nasher. He's, at this point, was getting a little nervous about the Venom. I tried to tell him that, it's plenty far back. Faster Venom isn't on this map, so you don't really have to worry about the Venom pushing you. But he decided to push up anyway, so he would have more time to fall back if need be and get more ammo. So he's going to come up here. He's got a couple of hunters on the stairs. The nice thing about the hunters is that they're a little bit more of a skittish enemy. They don't really push you all that much. They prefer to hang back and do distance work, so it allows you to close the gap on them fairly easily. I say that, and then there's a hunter charging Pyro right there, but again, this map isn't too difficult up to this point. You would ideally have your 2 allies with you to help clean up these enemies. Pyro playing it smart here, using that right-hand advantage to take out that pouncer. And again, can't say enough good things about that Infiltrator bleed damage. So when you come into this room here, you're going to see straight ahead, there's a couple of windows that you've got enemies shooting through. Ideally, and what we normally do, is we hang to the left of that room and kind of move up along the wall until we can close in on the windows and sort of get some shots through there to either push the enemies back or to take out the enemies completely. At this point, Pyro said, well, I'm the only one left, so I'm just going to pop my invis, use my ultimate, and he books it for the safe room, which is a totally viable strategy if you're in this situation. He ran right by all the enemies to make it to the safe room. You did see a Scion there, but he bypassed it. Ideally, what you would want to do is just take your time, bring him down a little bit, let him activate his reflective shell, and then once it's done, finish him off with a few headshots or some bleed damage. Alright, so we're going to skip the safe room. Beardsley and I both spawned back in because Pyro was a totally clutch player and got us to the safe room by himself. And as I said, he dropped that long shot. I picked up a bunch of ammo in the safe room, so I have a full long shot at this point. And when you come out of the safe room, you're going to want to run straight ahead and to the right up onto this platform. And if you're fast enough, you can actually get a headshot and take out 2 or 3 enemies that are all bunched together. You saw that was the first group that I aimed at, and I got the headshot on. But there's not a lot of enemies in this area. There's a couple of pouncers, some hunters, there's a couple of torque bow hunters, and then you have some claw drones. You can see I'm falling back, and I'm just going to clean up whatever's left for ammo in this safe room here, or the midway room, just to top off my my long shot, and to grab a flash grenade from the explosive box. So Pyro and Beardsley are up here doing work. Beardsley's working that melee when he can get in close. Pyro's using a shotgun to have a little bit more, not right close quarters, but closer quarters damage. And eventually, once you've cleaned up this set of enemies, you're going to want to grab, as the marksman, you're going to want to grab yourself a torque bow. There were a couple of hunters, so you shouldn't have any problems finding them. And after you clean out this first sort of battle area, you're going to have a safe room on the left and or an ammo room on the left and the right. On the right hand side, there are explosive ammo crates, so you can fill your torque bow up a little bit. And on the left, there is standard ammo crates. We're going to actually go through the left door, but if you want to hit this right hand door to get grenades and, like I said, some additional ammo, feel free to do that. Be aware that once you get to these ammo rooms, you're going to spawn in a large number of juvies. There is a boom shot there as well. So if you wanted to grab that boom shot instead of, say, the torque bow, you could. But since I'm running precision class as the marksman and the torque bow doubles as a precision weapon, I decided to opt in for the torque bow. Things got a little dicey here again. I didn't realize. I thought that Beardsley and Pyro had cleaned up a lot more of these juvies than they already had. So I went for the torque bow, and I ended up getting downed. Pyro and Beardsley came out to save me, but Beardsley ended up getting downed. So Pyro goes out to save him, and then Pyro ends up getting downed, and it turns into a big mess. For some reason, he didn't die, and you can see I got 3 juvies coming at me. I don't want to deal with them, so I close the door just for a second, which causes them to fall back and gives me enough, or gives my allies enough time to crawl closer to the door. And we sort of do a little bit of a chain revive here, where we just help each other up continuously, and just focus on shifting ourselves away from the juvies. I was trying to get into the door, but unfortunately I took cover on the wall instead. So once you're all in this room, you can just close that door behind you, and you won't have to worry about any more enemies sneaking up behind you. Ideally, you would want to move a little faster than we did. You can see that early Venom's already sneaking up on us. It's not going to push us too badly, but you don't want to get caught in that Venom because there's a lot of enemies in this last area. So once you clean up the juvies, you're at this kind of big ramp. I like to activate my X-ray right here, and then with an active reload on the long shot, you can actually one-shot these Scions. You can see I was trying to make sure I had an active shot in my long shot, and just go to work. You want to prioritize the Scions, then I focus on the hunters, just trying to take as many of these enemies off the board as I can. It just makes life a little bit easier once we get down that ramp. I'm going to fall back at this point and grab some more ammo. Pyro is back here stocking up on ammo still. So I'm going to grab whatever's left in here, and then we're going to advance down that kind of long ramp slide thing. So come up here. You could close that door if you wanted to be doubly sure that nothing was going to sneak up on you. The only way that things will sneak up on you now is if there was juvies left and they go down that center ramp between the 2 ammo rooms in that first battle room, which can happen. I think we actually have a couple of juvies who pop up behind us as we're advancing, but it's not a big deal. There's no more drones or anything like that, so don't fret too much about them. And at this point, you could sit back as the marksman like I'm doing and sort of pick your shots. Let the 2 close quarters allies get in there and mix it up. You can see right here, a juvie came and he came all the way around to get at me, and I thought I'd switch to the Boltok, but wasted a long shot bullet on a juvie that was almost dead, so don't do that. And like I said, you could definitely sit back here and sort of pick your shots across the way, try to thin out the enemies, but it's a little bit tougher because you have to shoot between the pillars. So what I like to do is come up to this bit of cover here. It's sort of not elevated compared to where the enemies are, but elevated enough that you have a better line of sight on where the enemies are taking cover. You're going to have another Scion coming down the hill at you, so you want to make sure you prioritize him. Again, you saw active headshot with the long shot, and as the marksman is enough to do a one-shot kill even on master, so make sure you prioritize him. You saw Beardsley there doing his juvie duty and taking juvies off the board with a melee, and basically at this point it's sort of a stalemate because they have a lot of cover, we have a lot of cover, and it's just taking your time, picking your shots. You can see we're already in the early venom, but that's not a bad thing because as the Blade Master, the venom is actually going to help Beardsley do more damage and be more damage resistant. But you can see on the both the mini-map and on the screen that deadly venom is creeping up on us. So there was a good headshot, and that's a great reason why we like running the marksman on this map. When you have a bunch of enemies clustered together, you can get a headshot, and that one shot took out 4 enemies. So cleared out the last of the enemies for this section. You can see I'm going to grab as much torque ammo as I can, and we're heading on to the door hold at this point. So a bit of a rough map, but not too bad. Definitely definitely doable, not impossible to do. I grabbed the mulcher, and the plan that we had sort of fell apart on us because I wasn't ready for Pyro to pull the lever, but he did. So you can see Beardsley had incendiary nades. He set one right there so the enemies will run into it. And ideally what was going to happen was I was going to wait until my X-ray was ready to go, snipe the Scion first, take him off the board, and then use the mulcher to shoot down as many of the enemies as I could as they advanced with the X-ray. But Pyro pulled the door a little too early, so there wasn't much I could do. I ended up getting rushed by a juvie and downed, so thankfully Beardsley and Pyro were right there to help me up again. I'm trying to get a headshot on the Scion. That didn't work. Me and Beardsley are down. We thought we were going to wipe. Pyro thankfully had his ultimate, so he went in Viz, got us both up. And the nice thing about what happened here was that while Beardsley and I were down and Pyro went in Viz, the enemies thought everybody was dead, so they just kind of stopped advancing, and that kept them in the room. But the strategy that I described will work. We just didn't execute it well. So hopefully this helps. I hope you guys found it helpful. Good luck with this hive, and until next time, take care of yourselves. Bye-bye. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, please like and subscribe. You can also check us out on Twitch at Hammer Bros Gaming. I am Blades of God, and until next time, have a great day everyone.